And this can't be good.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
I guess I need to share a Zencaster link with you guys, huh?
If you want to.
That'd probably be smart.
I was about to dive right into it. There you guys go. You know, kind of the scotch here.
Actually, I will pop mine before we get started.
Hello, Discord.
Well, it is Typo City over here for me.
I should bring that up today. I add to my topics, I guess.
Do we have to? You don't have to. But you should.
Let me know when you're ready to go there, Tommy boy.
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off then. From the Pacific to the Rocky Mountains and around the world, you're listening to the PHP Ugly Podcast, episode 307. We are three real-world everyday developers who make a living with the PHP programming language that we use to create legacy code of the future. We live stream every Thursday night around 9 p.m. Pacific time, and you can participate in that live stream by joining us in our Discord at discord.phpugly.com, where we are building a community. And I'm not the only one saying it.
You might be.
They organize. I'm going to cut all that out. We'd like to thank a few groups for helping us make this stream a little better. First, our Patreons on Patreon. We also have a couple of sponsors, honeybadger.io and Cloudways. We'll talk about all of them a little later in the show. For now, allow me to introduce myself. I am your humble host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me tonight is John Congdon.
Happy to be here as always.
And Tom Rideout.
Hello. Very excited.
Happy you can make it, Tom.
Just barely.
OS issues again?
Oh, no.
What was the deal?
It's the new OBS is not happy about Stream Deck, and I got a new toy that I was very pleased to get, but I did just sit there playing with it for a while when I was supposed to be doing other stuff like a podcast.
Is this something you're going to share with the group here,
or are we just going to call it a toy, which is kind of weird?
Oh,
got your
your
new
keyboard.
So this is the new keyboard that
Obviously not using it because it's not connected to you. To
in
anything.
fact I am. This is a Bluetooth or wired keyboard.
Oh, nice.
65%. It's a Keychron K6 Pro with Cherry MX Clear switches that are lubed and filmed, and a custom
That's
keycap
so
set.
dirty the way you say that.
So it took hours.
He was calling it a toy.
Yeah, it did take hours to lubricate and film 100 and something switches, which
You could just like go somewhere and buy a keyboard and they'll give it to you
I
ready to go. You plug
don't
it in,
get
you're done.
this though. You don't get this beautiful.
Right now, he's starting and stopping the stream because he's hitting the wrong key.
Probably. just a beautiful sounding keyboard, really great feel, but it is going to take me some time to acclimate for sure.
All right, I gotta know, and you don't have to share if you don't want to.
Mhm.
What does building your own keyboard run you? For all the switches, the case.
I think altogether this keyboard came to around 200.
Not bad.
Some of that being tools that I can reuse. Also, I'm going to have a separate number pad that I need to build out, which is probably going to cost around 100. Well, actually, no, that'll probably cost around 70. But yeah, no, I didn't go deep into the well of how much I could have spent. This is a very sort of basic frame and PCB model. Could have very easily have spent $700 on something. So not yet.
But you had fun building it. That's what matters.
I did. I had a lot of fun building it, and it is smooth as butter, and it just one of the things about a custom keyboard like this is that you can build all sorts of macro stuff into it. So I've got 4 function buttons. What?
I was finished typing. Sorry.
I've got 4 function buttons that can like change layers on the keyboard so that all the keys switch purpose. And I can also write macros and stuff, and I can change any individual key to behave any way I want.
But are you actually going to do that? Because I know
Yes.
the keyboard that Eric has, you can do the same thing. And I didn't really do that when I was using the keyboard much.
So I actually have to, because again, I'll show this for the viewers. This is a 65% keyboard. You will notice that there is some stuff missing from a normal keyboard, like the function keys
Mhm.
and like any kind of media controls. So if I hit the code button, that switches it to a bunch of my macros for VS Code that allow me to do commands like search through file system or search in a class and stuff like that.
But then you have to switch back to being normal mode.
No, I just press the button code and 1, and that gives me F1.
Okay. I mean, that's not unusual, especially with a laptop keyboard where you have a function key that
Sure.
activates different keys like that. You were talking about having 4 layers, which I'm imagining completely changes all your keys, or could. So
Buttery
layer 1 would be your normal keyboard layout. Go ahead.
Buttery beat me to the punch in Discord. He's talking so much about this keyboard, and he hates Vim. It's like it's the same concept. All this, tricked out customization that you can do to your editor that's specific to you. It's stupid for an editor, but perfectly reasonable for a keyboard.
Yeah. And I can pack this up and bring it with me on trips.
So you can make layer 4 could be your Vim bindings, where you can actually get out of Vim.
There you go. They
That's
can all
good
just be
use.
escape
Yeah.
keys. Like a whole thing. Your whole keyboard just be an escape key.
Yeah, the little configuration tool has settings for that. So just Vim macros built right into the keyboard.
Okay.
I'll never
Yeah,
use
it's
Vim
very,
though.
very, very much like the moon lander that I have. Now that one I did customize to have different levels to do different things. But again, I rarely use it, and I'm almost always on my Kinesis Advantage too. So
All right, Eric. Week 2 of Halloween month. What's the shirt?
oh, thank you for asking. It is I'm scary
Oh,
enough without a
without a
costume.
costume. That's a good
Thank
one.
you for asking. Yes. Not only is it October, but it's that special time of year here in the US. You know what time that is, guys?
It starts
Yeah.
cooling off.
Nope. Baseball, basketball, and football are all being played at the same time. Every night of the week, you can watch some sort of sport on television, and it's not always the same sport. And shout out to the Padres and Dodgers. We're having a little freeway series, and it's a good one. Had a couple good games. They're 1-1 right now. So, yeah, I'm repping my little Padres cap today because I was in San Diego last, so kind of pulling to them for them. I like Soto. But yeah, it's that time of year, man. I love this time of year. Professional basketball, football, and baseball all going at the same
Must be
time.
nice to be able to watch sports.
Very easy. I use my eyes. Barely
Yeah.
have to break a sweat.
It's because you have grown kids and they're out of the house. So you can do whatever you want to do.
This is true. This
Yeah.
is true. How about you, John? How's your week been?
Oh, where do you even start?
Monday,
Paragliding. Start with
Tuesday,
paragliding.
Sunday?
Nope. I haven't gone paragliding this week. Went through SOC 2 compliance with a client over the past couple weeks, which was
That's
interesting.
always so much fun.
It was my first time going through it. Like I've heard of it, but I've never actually been through it. So when I told you about it and you said you've been through it a couple times, I was shocked. One, I didn't know it's
For some reason, I feel hurt, but
no, not shocked like you've been through it. More like I didn't realize that SOC 2 has been around that long because you mentioned companies that you haven't been at for a very long time.
yeah, it's been around for a while.
So that's what I meant by that. But yeah, I know we have another client that has talked about it in the past. So having a little more familiarity to bring them through that process if they really want to go that route. But it's expensive. I couldn't believe when I saw it's starting at $10,000 to get SOC 2 compliance. And that's just mind-boggling. So been there.
Paperwork too.
Yeah.
Now, were you responsible for actually filling things out, or were you just like answering questions?
Luckily, no, not this time. Like
That is
there's
lucky, yeah.
there's people on the team that had to take that task. And it's interesting because there's so many employees and contractors at the same company, and you have contractors like, I'm not installing an agent on my machine for
Yeah.
some company to spy on what I have. Like all the agent's supposed to do is say, you have disk encryption, you have a screen lock, and you have antivirus if you're running Windows. Supposedly, but a lot of people are like, I'm not running that. Which I get. Like I don't know what it does, and I don't want to just take their word for it. So we got around that by having to take screenshots of disk encryption, which I screwed up. The person doing all the paperwork part of it, gave us a screenshot of what the disk utility looks like if you have disk encryption. I go to disk utility, I don't see the same thing. So I'm like, I can't believe I don't have disk encryption turned on automatically, even though I know when I boot my machine, I have to put a password in, but I'm like, maybe that's a different thing. It's not disk encryption. So I go through this whole process of encrypting my home directory solo. Otherwise, you have to reinstall the OS to get full disk encryption. And man, my system was so sluggish. Every time I would do anything, it was so slow. And then I'm like, screw it. I pull up my laptop, fresh install of the OS, choosing disk encryption. I know I did it because I reinstalled. Go to the disk utility. It still doesn't say it. I'm like, what in the? Turns out you have to click on the actual partition. Then that's where it showed that it was encrypted. I go look at my desktop. I'm like, dang it. Now I'm double encrypted. That's why it's running so slow. So then I had to unwind all of the home directory disk encryption. What a pain in the ass that was. Fun.
Yep, fun stuff. So, first thing, I mentioned in the intro how our Discord is really a community, and I got my little heartstrings tugged at last week with Citizen Coder podcast had somebody from our Discord, Mike, on, and first thing, that's how they were introduced from the PHP Ugly Discord, and they talked about how it's how it's really a community. I'm like, I never thought a lot about it, and I'm not like opposed to it at all. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? We have our little chess club now. You all were talking about doing some fitness challenge to tech, and it's like, yeah, we really do kind of have like this ongoing community throughout the week. It's like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have our Discord now.
That is definitely the way to your heart too, because that was the whole thing with way before when we first started Diego Dev. It was our team, our group. You wanted it to be almost feel like a family when people worked with us. Going into SDPHP, it was you wanted it to be about community and about, again, almost like a little family. So for someone to say that definitely would make you happy.
Definitely my soft spot for sure, and I really appreciated it. Yeah, so that was cool. But on to PHP tech stuff. No, I'm sorry, PHP architect stuff. I want to formally apologize. I know a lot of people, especially people listening to this show, the PHP Ugly show, who have really tried to support us more and more on PHP with our PHP architect endeavor, and I do appreciate it. But I feel like I owe you an apology, and I think John and I have corrected that ship a little bit. But there's a lot of things happening when you're trying to run a magazine, and you don't always have your eye on the ball with every aspect of it. And the one thing that both John and I are, I think, admittedly weak at is the whole social networking piece. So, we kind of try to write bots to queue up tweets and things, and came to the realization today as I was going in there to add some tweets. I'm like, man, there's like 60 tweets a day queued up. What's going on? And I started looking at them, and I went back to our stream, and I'm like, John, we're like spamming people on our Twitter handle.
We tracked it down. We, again, correcting the wrongs, right? We fixed it, but when I first wrote everything, it looked fine, no big deal. Turns out I was scheduling each tweet to go out for 10 weeks, which for a single month wasn't bad. But then you add a second and third month in there, all of a sudden it's like it was just a massive amount of tweets
started
going
piling on. So after like the second or third release, all these tweets just started stacking up. It's crazy.
Eric, you have multiple social media experts living rent-free at your house.
Yeah, but see, that's not our social media. We don't TikTok, Instagram.
It's the same. The fact that you don't think that that's your social media is exactly why they're the ones supposed to be doing it.
I wouldn't go that far. We
don't need the Twitter. Twitter's the new.
No, I love my Twitter. Hey, I finally got the ability to edit my tweets. I'm super excited about that. So it's I've been trying to be more active on Twitter. I like Twitter. Like I have spent years cultivating my Twitter stream so that when I go to it, I see a lot of relevant stuff that I'm interested in. So Twitter is like my number one go-to place. I know a lot of people dislike Twitter and say there's so much noise, but I spent a long time kind of weeding out who I follow and
I
really
thought you
weeding
follow
out a
like
lot of companies.
everybody.
If they follow me, yeah. And I have to be honest, I've gotten really bad at that. But yeah, if somebody follows me, I usually check their handle, make sure they're not new to Twitter, see if they post something relevant to PHP or tech in general, and if any of those things are true, I usually give them a follow back. So I've said for a long time, I will always follow more people than follow me, which isn't a big deal to say when you only have a few hundred followers, but I can't see how that math would change in my head because I always try to follow back. But like I said, I need to go through it because I've picked up quite a few followers recently, and I haven't kind of held to that. But yeah, I follow a lot of people. But like I said, if they follow me, if they're tech related, I'll usually give them a follow. Now that doesn't mean I won't unfollow them. Like if they start talking weird or their tweets are about things that don't interest me, I will unfollow later. But I try to follow everybody. So I haven't actually used my edit ability on my tweets yet. And I guess it's really limited too. Like you can only edit tweets that you generate. So they can't be replies to other tweets. So you can't edit your reply to another tweet. But you can edit tweets you generate, and you can only edit for like 30 minutes after you tweet it. So I haven't had a need to do that yet, but it's there. I looked and I'm like, hey, there's that little edit thing. Oh.
Is that a beta thing or something? I don't even know.
You have to be a Blue Twitter. You have to subscribe to Twitter Blue, which is like $2 a month or something.
You.
And yeah, it's worth it for that editability. Matter of fact, John, I would say you definitely should, as the CEO of a highly visible company there. I would strongly recommend you do.
I don't tend to just like throw words together and just tweet out. Oh yeah, I do.
You don't tweet that much at all.
I've been more active lately. Actually, been more active in direct messages with people lately.
Yeah, I like Twitter, and you can't change my mind on that.
Elon Musk is buying it.
Yeah, I might not like it so much after that, but we'll see.
You said I can't change your mind. I thought maybe that would work.
Hey, do we want to talk about the wacky little problem we had? Speaking of PHP Architect with Firefox, because we know Tom's little Firefox issue with our recording software.
Yeah. I got called out for that can't possibly be true. So I posted absolute evidence.
Oh no, I still didn't believe you, and I went and verified it myself. So yeah, we know it's true.
Yeah. So Eric, we got a support ticket around the magazine after release saying that page 8, there was a problem on page 18. We're like, what are you talking about? We're both looking at it. Everything is fine. And we asked for clarification. Turns out pulling the magazine up in Firefox, page 17 and 18 have issues. And I think I realized that it was because there's a couple of emojis in there. There's a light bulb emoticon and a exclamation point or something, one on each page, and that seems to be right where it breaks. So it has to be related to that, but for the life of me, I can't figure out why it's just affecting Firefox. I haven't seen any other cases where it's been a problem.
And that was actually how I kind of responded to the ticket. I was like, hey, we see what the issue is. We're not sure if this is a Firefox bug or the strict nature of Firefox on their implementations based on standards. So we're not fixing it.
Basically. No, I mean, if we had a bunch of people say, "Hey, I can't read this because I read it in Firefox," it might be something to look at, but it's so hard to go through and make a big change for just a one-off thing where you can just open it in another PDF reader. It's hard. On top of
I
that,
wouldn't know. My PHP Architect account is out of subscription for some reason. The gift that was given
you
to
have
me.
it because you haven't paid. seems pretty straightforward on why you're out of subscription.
I know those guys. They wouldn't do that to me.
Yeah, they're assholes.
Next time, don't bring it up on the show. Maybe. Just saying. In other news with the magazine, not only is there a problem with those 2 pages in Firefox re-release, and like an hour after the email goes out, Discord blows up with, "Oh, there's a spelling mistake on the cover." I'm like, what?
Right.
You brought up typo earlier and you said you were going to make notes. I thought you were bringing this up. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. I'm with my kids and I'm like, "Honey, I got to go fix this typo real quick." I run into the office, fix the typo, and it's like not a quick thing. I have to fix the typo, export, compress, upload. Like there's this whole laundry list of things that have to be done. Like an idiot, I don't look at the rest of the cover. It's like I fixed the issue, go through all the process, and get back to my kids. Yeah, there were 2 typos on the cover.
Oh, I didn't know that. What was the second typo?
I missed the N in converting. So
Oh,
right after,
man.
so again, I'm back out with the kids doing something, and I see another Discord like saying, "Oh, look, there's something else." I'm like, "God, you got to be kidding me!" And I run
And
back in, and
you can't possibly understand the frustration level John and I feel when people report things back to us like that, because we look over these magazines, no exaggeration, probably a dozen times as we're building them. And John will generate a PDF, and usually he just sends it to me, and then eventually we'll expand that to the columnists and say, okay, it's essentially saying, hey, we're getting close to releasing. Can you all take a look? To this day,
in defense of the columnist, the one I send to them never has a cover. It's always the inside of the magazine. So they didn't have a chance to catch this.
To this day, it doesn't matter how much John and I look through these PDFs. John will send this to the columnist channel in the PHP Architect Discord, and Oscar will come back in like 5 minutes with a laundry list of things. Like, you just know this guy is just like so dialed into doing this. I can't wait. I hope to like achieve a fraction of his skill set with editing, because he will hit us with a laundry list of things, and it's just like, how did we not see that? And it's weird things. He goes, "Oh yeah, the 2 letters on page 44, second column down, they look weird. They're kind of close." It's like, what? We'll go look. It's like, sure enough, it's like something would be weird about this one little section.
The color here, up here doesn't match what it's supposed to be.
It was really very smart of Oscar to realize he could make more money being employed by you editing the magazine than him owning the magazine.
It's funny because it's true. He sent me a bill the other day, and I was like, "Oh crap!" I guess. Oh yeah, I got to pay this, don't I?
Oh, I thought we were just hanging out, having a good time together.
I've put so much work into the tools behind the magazine lately. It's crazy, like the amount of automation, and I'm contemplating paying for a library to do even more automation. I'm torn on it.
It's not cheap either. Like, you told me how much this library costs. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
To be determined. I'm going to talk with Oscar a little bit in a few weeks and pick his brain, see what he thinks.
I'm sure it'll be free.
I'm going to buy him at least a dozen beers while we're hanging out.
Get him hammered at Tech.
Longhorn. I think he's going to be at Longhorn. Yeah, he's
Fuck
speaking at Longhorn.
Longhorn. What are you talking about Longhorn for?
Because I'm going to be there 2 weeks. I've been, I can't tell you how frustrating it is for myself. Like, you guys always talk about spinning up side projects and stuff. And I have this realization that I don't write code from scratch. I don't write, like, I've always gone into a business and you talk about how good I am at debugging code, right? I can get in, I can read somebody else's code, I can make changes, I can fit in where I need to fit in. And throughout my career, I've gone into existing projects, legacy code, and just been able to hammer things and make things work and then add to them. But writing code from scratch, I've never really got into. I'm preparing for my presentation in just a few weeks, and I really want to have, it's a very contrived example, but I wanted to have some example code. And I actually built something with a router, with event sourcing, with a container. I'm like, oh crap, I can actually do this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
give me some time, I can make things work.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I use frameworks for everything. It's like the idea of not using a framework and just building something.
But
I mean,
but
even with Composer being what it is today, I don't know, man. It would stress me out a little bit, I think. I mean, I feel like I could do it.
Even with frameworks, I get like bogged down, like not knowing where I want to go, what I'm going to do next. It's just that whole getting over that hump of getting something started. It's that holds me back. But I got there. No framework. I just use Composer to bring in a router, to bring in a PSR 7 layer, to bring in event sourcing, the container. It was an experience. So come to my talk and laugh at me.
What'd you use for your Docker environment?
That's the other thing. Like, getting that whole thing up and running. I actually found a LAMP stack Docker container that gives you basically a LAMP stack, and they have a decently commented env file to give you, to set the ports and everything so you can have access to it.
You know what's really nice to have for actual like deployment stuff, like when you actually have to spin up a server or something like that?
This video is brought to you by Cloudways. We are all developers and love to write code, but managing the servers that code runs on can be a time-consuming and error-prone process. Cloudways helps you spend less time managing your servers and more time doing what you really want to do, coding. You only need one account to manage servers on multiple platforms and for multiple customers. Pick just the server size and location that makes the most sense for you and your customers. You can even estimate your costs for your server before spinning it up. Cloudways offers peace of mind and flexibility so you can focus on growing your business instead of dealing with server management. With Cloudways, you get an optimized stack, managed servers, backups, a staging environment, integrated Git, pre-configured Composer, 24/7 support, and a choice of 5 different cloud providers: Amazon Web Services, DigitalOcean, Linode, Google Cloud, and Vultr. Get a discount of 20% for 3 months using the code PHPARCH. Check them out today.
Thank you,
Cloudways.
Hi, Devin. Thanks for joining us in Discord at discord.phpugly.com.
Devin, I've been waiting for you. We all we feel like we just needed you to get into Discord and things would be better. Happy you were able to join us. While you're here, Devin, were you aware that JetBrains Fleet is now in public preview? Yes, it is. And I just wanted you to know that, Devin. Okay, so Fleet, the JetBrains kind of editor that I guess is in competition with VS Code
Like, yeah, the whole
is
starting over thing.
Isn't it in competition with PHP Storm as well?
well, so that's the thing, right? I mean, it's meant to be more of a general purpose editor. So PHP Storm is focused, right? Like all JetBrains IDEs are like focused on a particular language, either Python, PHP, what have you. But Fleet is meant to be again like Vim, like Sublime, like VS Code, this kind of all-purpose general editor that you can use to to kind of edit files or projects, right? And I've already established the fact that I haven't spent a lot of time. I was on the preview and I still hadn't spent a lot of time with it because it doesn't have Vim bindings. And it still doesn't have Vim bindings. And oh my God, the Vim binding thread on their board just blew up today. Like
I can imagine that would be one of the most annoying things to read in the world.
it's just like everybody's like +1 on Vim bindings. Plus, I'm like, oh my God, it has a freaking thumbs up on the top. You just thumbs up it. God damn it. Don't Vim plus it because you email everybody. But anyways, it's out if that sort of thing now.
I think JetBrains is going to send you a personal thank you gift because they think you're the one sending everyone to them.
I've been criticized in the past. So here's the funny thing about my life. These knuckleheads, one knucklehead in particular, I'll let you pick who it is, would criticize me because I was always trying new editors. And then I finally start to abandon that and focus really hard on Vim. And then I get criticized because all I do was talk about Vim.
It's really about the fact that it was both ways that you did it were annoying.
Just you kind of talking in general is just
the way that you talked about one editor every time you tried something out, like you were talking about your Vim bindings, and really
that was always you. You were always pro PHP Storm, and then now you're all of a sudden pro Sublime.
No, Sublime. No.
All right, I mean pro VS Code, whatever it is.
Jesus Christ.
So
Scared me.
If you like editors, if you like trying new editors, definitely give Fleet a look. I mean, it has
this was the thing. If you like trying different editors, don't put your Vim bindings in every editor because you just end up using the same editor. You end up using Vim with a different window around it.
We are going to get back to that, buddy. You're going to regret ever saying
all you
that.
have done is done Vim with a different decoration layer around it.
Well, this is not true.
Not true.
Vim is its own thing. It's so much faster than anything else. Now, I've spent a lot of time in PHP Storm these last couple of months, and I'm okay with it.
Quit.
It doesn't compare to the speed of just straight up Vim. I mean, there's just no comparison, and that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. Anyways, Fleet is out there, public preview now. It has debugging. It now has PHP support, which I don't think the private preview acknowledged PHP support, or maybe it did. I remember there's something weird there, but it definitely supports PHP now. There'll be a link in the show notes to a YouTube video from JetBrains on how to use it, all that other stuff. But kind of talking about these things, right? We talked about VS Code. I've been doing some pair programming these last couple weeks with I don't know if I should call him out on the show now, but I'm going to. Eric, Spanish-speaking kid in Discord. My kid's partner, the two that live up in San Francisco. Eric, Spanish-speaking kid, is going to college and taking a college course, and they're coding. They're doing some Python code. So I helped him out with some homework that they had last week, and basically the same thing. I just opened up a Vim because, again, this is where PHP Storm would fall flat, right? And something like Fleet or VS Code would shine a little better is I needed to use a different language. So, but I have
Python?
all that
You,
stuff
you
dialed
have
in.
you had the whole JetBrains pack, don't they have PyCharm?
I do. You're absolutely right. I do. And I think I actually used that, to be honest with you. I do think I used that. And I've done Python in the past, but I'm definitely not to the same level I am with PHP. And I haven't done any Python, recently. So I had hacked my way through and kind of worked with them and kind of explain like some of the philosophies and cleaning the code up and all that. Well, they had reached out to me again this week with another assignment. And I just love the fact that they reach out to me. He's like, oh, yeah, by the way, this is due in like 2 hours. I'm like, oh, yeah, no pressure. No pressure at all. But
Let me do your homework for you.
But this time, they're using VS Code, right? So when they started the class, the professor had told them, told everybody to use Sublime. I'm like, that's a horrible professor. Like, you should quit the class right now, but they didn't. So I guess now they can use VS Code. And I'm like, hey, are you still using VS Code? And they're like, yeah, why? I'm like, you know what? VS Code has this code with me, this pair programming aspect of it. Let me fire up VS Code on my system and let's pair program that way. Because what we were doing the first week is sending files back and forth, right? Because I was using Vim, and I think I used some PyCharm, and they were using VS Code or Sublime. I don't remember what they were using that first time. But this time, I'm like, okay, so I explained to him how to do. It's called live sharing, or I forget what VS Code calls it. It's not code with me. It's like live share or something like that. I think it's live share. So I explained to him how to use live share. This whole time I'm firing up VS Code, which I haven't started in like I couldn't tell you how long. And to make things even more challenging, I was on my laptop, my Apple laptop, because we were watching the World Series. The baseball game was on. And so I was in the living room. I ended up being outside in the backyard. So I fire up VS Code, and to VS Code's credit, I had to log in with my GitHub account, which is what I always logged into with VS Code before. Logged in with my GitHub account. It took some time to get all the updates and took some time to pull down my configurations, which I guess is to be expected because not only do I not use VS Code that often, but I don't use my laptop hardly ever at all, much less that combination of VS Code and my laptop. But when it was all said and done, all the extensions upgraded. It had my Vim bindings. So when we did live share, I was able to use my Vim bindings, which made all the difference in the world to me. And I'm going to give VS Code credit that after as long as I had not used it, I was able to be functional with it. It was nice.
So
I can't complain.
With their live share, it sounds like it's 10 times better than PHP Storm's or JetBrains version. So with Code with Me, you have to download this thin client. It's such a pain in the ass.
That's the issue, right? So you're absolutely right. VS Code, I think, is still ahead of the game with that pairing aspect because with the JetBrains product, you download this thin client, and as we've learned, even when you get it configured, like I've been using that thin client a lot. I think I told you this last week, John, that whole outside setup that I have, I've been going out because we got the new dog and I've been taking the dog outside. I go out there and I fire up the gateway back into my Linux machine to continue my editing. So now I've used that thin client enough that it's kind of holding that configuration for the most part. But like things like, you know how I like my file explorer on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side, it never remembers that. There are certain plugins that it doesn't load in the thin client for whatever reason.
It's just trying to correct you.
So it is a separate application, whereas VS Code, you're using your VS Code. However you have your VS Code configured, whatever plugins you have installed for your VS Code, that's what you're using. You're not using some other client.
So Gateway uses that same thin client?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now,
so you're
what
basically
I,
doing a code with me. That's interesting.
what I don't know is if you and I were to do a code with me and you were hosting, if that thin client would stay consistent to your machine, because I get the feeling that when the thin client connects to a machine, it's pulling down the configurations from that machine, because it even says when you connect, it says look for available PHP storms installed. And I think it's getting that from the host machine. So I don't know if one thin client works the same for all hosts that you share with. Maybe you and I could test that at some point. It's just not that critical, but if maybe we will. But yeah, and if you remember when this was going on, I was slamming my fist on the table saying, JetBrains, you guys have got to get this pair programming situation on your platform, because VS Code is burning you on it. And eventually they did. They came with the code with me. But the whole Java aspect of JetBrains, that's really where it started to feel bulky, was with that code with me. It's like, oh man, this feels like sluggish, hard sluggish. Like when I try to do find files, even today, when I don't know a file, I'm like trying to type in the name of the file. It's like 1, 2, 3 characters, and then it like freezes for a good second or two, then 3, 4, 5 characters. And this is all on the local network. I'm not even going through the internet.
Yeah, but that, to me, that's to be expected, because it's got to intelligently send information to your host, get the information back without doing it for every single character, where now you got 7, 8 requests waiting in line.
But again, I don't have that problem with the VS Code. I mean, VS Code. Yeah, I mean, actually, maybe that's not a fair statement, because the project that they had was not as intense as like something you and I would work on, as far as how many files are in it and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe that is a problem with VS Code. I'm not aware of it.
Well,
yeah,
when they get into further in their educational career, maybe they'll have a more impressive project you can help them with, or code for them.
For the record, I found out today we got a perfect score on both of our assignments. So.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got tired of me saying, well, this is how I would do it in PHP, and then basically start Googling, how does Python do arrays, which I know how they do it. It's either a list or a dictionary. For whatever reason, they have multiple names for an array. An associative array is a dictionary, a regular array is a list. I don't know why, but I had to look something up.
Know why?
Oh, that's why. That's what I said. Oh yeah, I was trying to figure out how like every third time we wanted to do something, right? They wanted to draw a line on every third line in a file. I'm like, well, I mean, there's a couple ways to do that. I said, I think in PHP, all I would do is say, is the line I'm on divisible by 3? And if it is, then draw a line. And if it's not, then, keep going. And I'm like, so I have to look up how to do it in PHP or in Python. I'm like, yeah, it's basically the same thing. The syntax was a little different, but basically the same thing. It's %3, and in Python it's equals 0. So fun stuff. I love coding. I love languages. It's
well, you got to do the equal 0 in PHP too.
Do you now? Let's see. There you go. I thought I knew what I was talking about, and I didn't.
No, it's the mod equals 0.
Right.
Yeah, or not.
That's what,
you can also do not mod.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, it's interesting you bring that up. I read a really interesting article about that got me thinking about teaching kids to program and why it's important or how it's important. And it's probably one of the greatest like titles to an article I've ever read. Is when the push button was new, people were freaked. And it's basically about the fact that something that we don't think about at all, which is buttons for interacting with anything electrical, didn't exist for a long time. And when a button was introduced, people were concerned that this put the technology of electricity into a black box. Quoted here, effortless, opaque, and therefore unquestioned by consumers. And I thought, well, like that's kind of how programming is to people who don't have a basic understanding of programming. And the article explains here that before buttons, people who interacted with electricity in one way or another knew about it. They knew how electricity worked. Little kids could build a circuit with a battery and a light bulb and some wire. It was just like something that all the kids knew how to do. And, messing around with electricity at the time was super popular. But the introduction of the button, basically the introduction of making it simple to access, but not understand what was happening, eliminated that. And, talking with like my wife about programming, she barely understands any of what I'm saying. But talking to my buddy who's a QA developer, we can talk in depth for hours about programming.
You guys are
stuff.
still buddies after you lost his job?
Yeah. He got a new job that pays better, so he forgave me.
That makes sense.
Yeah. He's also slowly poisoning me, but that's a different story.
Alcohol poisoning?
Yes. Very just like interesting thought on this whole, like, should kids learn programming?
Yes.
I don't know that kids should learn, enterprise level classes and
they just need
solid.
They need a basic understanding.
But for sure, like if a kid nowadays can't do an inspect element in Chrome, they're going to get left behind.
Well,
like
not only that. I mean, it really needs to become a mandatory class, at least at the high school level, where you have your math, you have your English, and you need to have some sort of computer science class. I feel like, or coding class. Computer science is probably good enough umbrella thing there, but
I think the high school level's too big of too late. I think at the elementary level,
I mean, my kid's doing Scratch, and that's a good elementary, like, put building blocks in place, and then after that you can start building upon that and show them how behind the scenes what that's actually doing if they ever want to get into an actual language. But having that logical progression there is
I watched a video of a guy who had implemented a quantum computer in Scratch.
What? Really?
Yeah, it was just a set of macros that he had developed, and I did not understand.
Did he travel through time? Is that something?
I couldn't. He could have done it. It was an hour-long video explaining quantum computers, and I did not get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the latest in my paragliding group, is flying in the lightning and trying to get struck to where
seems like a good idea.
You just start falling and then you hit 88.1 miles per hour.
Yeah, see how that works out for you.
I know one guy who did it, I think.
So he disappeared.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, it was
88.1 or 88.8?
I don't know.
It's 0.1, isn't it?
I think it's just 88. I think it's just 88 miles per hour. Yeah.
Once this baby hits 88 miles an hour.
Yeah. But I remember when my kids were in high school, and I forget what it was at the time, but talking about how, they're all using this one app because it's encrypted and it's there's no way to get the information out. I'm like, you don't understand. We are gods in this world. Developers,
yeah,
We can tell you it's completely encrypted. We can even show you how it's completely encrypted, but it's not encrypted unless we say it's encrypted. We can snake that data at any point we want. And, there's not a whole lot you can do. Well, no, it's supposed to be this way. Yeah. You don't understand. Again, we are gods in this world.
And
That
there's no
that got me
way,
in.
no way an NPM package that does left alignment could ever be infected to decrypt all of your messages and send them to somebody.
That got me being that honest with an employer back in the early 2000s caused a weird ripple effect where I'm super honest. Like, yeah, like I could change out the bank credentials and all of a sudden have all of the transactions go to my account, right? My merchant account. I wouldn't do that, of course, but like I'm being honest. Next thing I know, like
I wouldn't do that again.
the following week, all of a sudden there's an auditor coming in and looking at a million lines of code. And I'm like, seriously?
Interesting.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I could have just not said that to you and just did it. I'm being honest with you. Assholes.
You know what else you can do is you can write up a custom program for catching errors and exceptions that are thrown by your system. But
why would you do that?
Why would you need to do that? Such a great program already exists.
When you're in production, 1,000 things can go wrong. You could deploy a bug in your latest release. Your background jobs can silently fail. Someone could trip over the network cable at your data center, and this all comes back to you. You need to know when bad things happen and be able to respond to them quickly. That's why we built Honeybadger. It's easy to install Honeybadger in your back-end applications and front-end JavaScript. It only takes a few minutes of configuration and you'll have monitoring done. That's because we hook into popular web frameworks, job systems, and the browser, so that when any of them crash, we can automatically let you know. We ping your application from our global fleet of servers to let you know about problems with connectivity, latency, and SSL certificates, and we monitor your recurring jobs to see if any of them stop recurring. When there's a problem, we alert your team using the tools you already use. We can create issues in GitHub, Jira, and other issue trackers, and send notifications via Slack, PagerDuty, or other channels. When you click through, you'll be taken to detailed information on the error. You'll see things like request parameters, headers, user information, and the backtrace. Click on any line of the backtrace to view it in GitHub, Bitbucket, or your local editor. When you fix a problem, just mark it resolved and follow up with the affected user. That's Honeybadger. We're the monitoring tool for web developers who'd rather be, well, developing.
Thank you,
Thank you, Honeybadger.
Eric.
John?
Don?
Eric and I had a weird interaction this morning. So we talked about Twitter earlier, and I've been trying to be a little more active on Twitter, and I mentioned something about Todoist. So I'm like,
fan to get traffic.
Yeah, true. I finally opened my Todoist for the first time in a while because I'm terrible at it, and I admitted to being terrible at it on Twitter. And I had this task on there from June 13th, and it was a simple idea. Let's email our PHP Architect subscriber list to say, hey, we've got a monthly print option. When we acquired the magazine, all that you could do if you wanted print, you had to pay for a year upfront. A few months ago, I added the ability to, just have a monthly subscription, but didn't let anybody know about it because why would I do that? That just makes too much sense. Finally, get that email set up. Send Eric a test. I'm like, hey, Eric, I sent you a test email. Can you check it out? And he goes, wow, you did that fast. You're not charging enough for it. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I stand behind that.
Well, not charging enough is different, but we've had this thing in place for months now. That was the funny part.
No, but we had it in place, but we had to initiate it for them. There was no way for somebody to sign up for it themselves.
Oh, there was.
Was there?
Yeah, that's not new. The only thing that I did this morning.
I'm trying to give you credit, man. I'm sorry.
No.
You're a dick. Why don't you send out that email earlier?
Exactly. That's the problem is people have had the ability to buy the thing for months now. We just didn't tell anybody about it.
So
It
explain
was just funny.
make it clear what they can do now. So there's a difference
But
between a yearly subscription and a monthly subscription.
right, you just every month you're on a monthly subscription. You pay once a month for a print magazine uh instead of a digital. It wasn't that big of a deal again because it's been around now for months. We had a few people that wanted it. The first one or two people we did manually. We got it up and running, and then I made it where other people could buy. So now we got a handful of people that have chosen to go that route, but we just didn't email our entire list to let them know that it was a possibility.
Uh,
It was just a funny interaction because obviously you'd forgotten that we had made that up. That happened.
yeah, but I think you misspoke, right? You just said you get a print edition instead of a digital, but you get
But you get both. You get both,
Right.
right?
Okay. All right. I still think you should
Yes.
charge more for it. If I have when it's my turn to be CEO, all of our prices are going up. So you might want to subscribe now because I will jack up the prices across the board.
Well, inflation has continued to rise, so it's probably should go up, but it hasn't.
Yeah, it's that you've been following the like inflation talk on Twitter and Reddit at all.
No, I don't watch
It-
the news. I'm blissful.
It's
I was in the car today for an hour or so as I was running some errands, and I heard the January 6th thing going on. This is like day 10 of it, and it's finally wrapping up. I'm like, I had no clue that was going on.
day 10.
Or the 10th one. Yeah.
Jesus. It's like the third month.
Well, it's the day 10 of hearings or whatever.
Oh,
According to NPR, it was the 10th and
is-
final day of hearings or whatever
It was the final. That is true.
what's
Yeah.
that? Yeah. John gets his news the same way he does pull requests, which is just has it in a backlog for a few months and then pulls up NPR from like June or July.
Hey, speaking of staying current, you haven't talked about it. I'm going to ask anyways. Are either one of you guys watching She-Hulk?
I
Yes.
started it and I
Right?
haven't
Did you?
stayed in it.
Oh, you haven't. The last one was awesome. Did
All
you
right,
watch
I'll
the
go
last
back
one?
to it.
The finale, today's episode?
Yeah.
I haven't
Did you-
watched it yet.
Okay. I will not talk about
Broke
it.
a
then,
record
but-
for the shortest Marvel finale.
Really, it didn't
Yeah.
feel like it was that short, but it was good. It was
50 or
it was
32
very
minutes.
on brand for She-Hulk, and I got to say, the She-Hulk Daredevil thing is fantastic. Just
Yeah.
I love that aspect of that
But
show.
I've watched the first episode, so I guess I
Yeah.
need to go and watch them all.
It's not
Um,
for everyone, which like all things that are not for everyone, the people who thought it was supposed to be for them are very offended.
Yeah.
So there's
She-Hulk.
a lot of
She-Hulk
Marvel
is
things.
very niche. Like you kind of have to
Yeah.
understand the comic to understand the show. It's a very niche superhero series. The comic book series. The comic book series is very niche with some of the things it does. Like you've already probably seen how frequently she breaks the fourth wall. That's very on brand for She-Hulk. But there are other aspects of it.
Yeah, and the fact that like people were really upset about Megan Thee Stallion's episode,
Okay.
and like I mean, aside from all the normal geek stuff, also being just extremely racist about it, and not understanding that like Megan Thee Stallion does shows in like Sailor Moon outfits, and she's like a huge Marvel fan, and like they wanted people who were involved in the comic book culture, involved with the creation of this thing, and like it's been I've really enjoyed it. I know people who are not so happy about it, but won't say why.
Man, before
In
it came out,
public.
you were very down on it.
That's true.
I'm
well,
very
the
down
special effects.
very down on the visual effects. There have been some
I thought they cleaned them
major
up, though.
missteps.
They
They cleaned up
cleaned it
some
up.
of them, they clean up some of them, but there's been a couple times where the animation is real bad, and
Yeah, that's true. But it's not a movie, right? They don't have movie budget. They have
no, and
TV
actually it's
series budget.
so it's more of a time thing. There's a thing when you're doing a person's skin that reflects the light underneath the skin. It's called subsurface scattering. And it basically says like the top layer of skin is somewhat transparent, and as light goes through the skin, it illuminates lower in the skin. And it just gives that human-like feel that they sort of skip over with some of her renders. But I mean, if the budget was already going to be so small that they're going to have these kind of problems, why did they have her in the Hulk form so much in the show?
So I can't give it away, but you're gonna laugh so hard on the finale. For that
Sounds like you just did.
For that conversation, you're gonna laugh really hard.
All right.
Sounds like I got a lot of
it was
TV to watch, but I can't.
Of all the TV, the Disney Plus Marvel series, this was hands down my favorite one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I really liked Loki. Loki
wore on
so
me
tight.
after a while. Loki, I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I could
also
not stand that one.
See, I like that one.
I like that one, but yeah, this one surpassed all those for me personally. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. It was good. I hope there's another season of it.
I liked parts of Falcon and Winter Soldier. The thing that killed me was like one of Falcon's big problems in the show is that his family is running out of money to pay for their fishing boat. And I'm like, hey, dude, you've got Pepper Potts' phone number. Just fucking call her. Like, hey, remember me at the funeral? The funeral for the billionaire time traveler, where there were 12 people total at the funeral.
How do you call somebody? I don't care how rich your friend is. Maybe I'm not programmed or wired that way.
It's really simple. Tony's character would absolutely have given everyone a lot of money when he died. Like his will would absolutely say, hey, you know all these people who are the Avengers and save the world? Make sure they're comfortable.
It's not real, you know that, right?
It's real to me.
Oh man, we are running so long, and there's so much more to talk about this week.
Sounds like we have content for next week.
I think so. I think for those in our Discord where we had the long conversation about foreign keys and foreign key constraints, I think we're gonna have to punt that one to next week. But I don't want you to think that we forgot about this. I also don't want you to think that we forgot to thank our Patreons on Patreon, because Tom is pulling up that screen right now. Thank you to all our Patreons on Patreon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. You know, we should have had a jump scare in this video. The video background for October.
I hate you so much. There's so many reasons I hate you, and it's not even funny. My list just continues to grow.
You sound like my mom.
I was going to do that. Matter of fact, I just looked at the calendar and I was like, should I do that next week or should I do it the following week?
Well, there's a problem. There's a problem with doing it the following week.
You're a problem.
I'm going to be in Silicon Valley.
Oh, are we not going to have a show the following week?
So,
or is it just John and I? You know, I got my OBS set up, so I can.
No, it was made very clear you guys couldn't manage to get the OBS stuff running if you needed to.
It sounds like we're recording. For sure.
So I will be calling in. I just won't have the high quality microphone technology that I have now.
Okay. But, are you still going to do the OBS piece? Because I'm serious. Yeah. I have OBS set up, so I can. No, I won't
do the OBS piece. You'll have to do that piece.
All right. Well, then at some point we should test to make sure I have it completely set up correctly. But yeah. So thanks to our Patreon supporters and to our Discord community, which is what I'm going to start calling you now, our Discord community. If anybody out there uses Tinkerwell, I talked about how a recent update to Tinkerwell allowed me to use it with my Lando configuration, which I was very excited about. But I haven't used Tinkerwell in a very long time. And I guess now it does this weird thing where, typically, do you guys know what Tinkerwell is? I'm talking like,
nope.
I know you don't, John. So Tinkerwell, for those who don't know, is
by the way,
a Laravel thing. And it's you have an artisan command in Laravel called Tinker, which drops you into a command line interface to your application. So you can call your models, you can do anything you want in this interface. Well, somebody created this Electron app called Tinkerwell, and I had purchased a lifetime license to it some time ago, but I could never get it to run correctly on my Linux machine. A lot of that was because I was using Lando, but all that has cleared up. Like, I'm running it, it runs fine. But I guess now the way it works, it used to be the one side you would type in your commands, then on the other side or down below the other panel, wherever you have it, would show you the output. And now it does this weird thing where that's still the case, but on the panel that has your command, it does this like inline output where it's like kind of showing you like a JSON formatted version of your output from where your command is. And it's frustrating as hell to me. I'm like, I don't want this here. I don't need to see the data here. I want to be adding commands here. Put all my data on the other side. I can't figure out how to do that. So if anybody uses Tinkerwell out there, if there's a checkbox I'm missing or something, let me know, because I want to use it more, but I can't. It just frustrates me. And what, Tom? Yeah, no, don't worry, Tom. Tinkerwell does have Vim mode, and I use it all the time. It's perfectly fine.
I assume, since it's something you use, that it does have a Vim mode.
Very much so. Very much so. That's actually why I've started using DataGrip now, because I realized that my Vim plugin on PHP Storm works in DataGrip. So I'm like, hey.
What?
Yes, John!
Wait. What?
So in DataGrip, you have to still install the extension, but you can install your Vim mode extension in DataGrip, and boom, it works.
No way.
Totally
Stop
way.
it.
100%. 100%. Glad I can make your day.
What?
All right, but that's going to have to be it, I think.
Oh my goodness. There's an idea of Vim and plugins in DataGrip.
I think we're going to need to wrap it up because we're running super long. I've had such a good time talking with everybody. Even though we did start late, we're still running a little on the long side. So, yeah, we're going to wrap this up. So this is going to do it for episode 307. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
I'm Tom.
Keep it up.
Keep it up.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah. When it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
I may have gotten too bold in my assumption that my computer is now perfectly stable and 100% fixed.
Yeah, that's actually, as we're doing that, I realized, you know what? That's one thing I need to go back through my OBS setup to see if I have set up correctly, whether or not, like, during commercials, you know, our mics aren't there and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to try to snake your setup, but I realized that I wasn't sure how you had your stuff mapped. And I know OBS does absolute paths. It doesn't do relative paths. So I'm like, shit, I need to remap everything anyways. So I just created my own. It's pretty much the same setup you have. I mean, I don't know if I have all the same scenes, but I got the important ones that I think need to worry about. At some point, we'll get together and test it. Because I also don't know how to use Video Ninja from a director's perspective. Like I created an endpoint and I saw it and I'm like, I think I understand how to use it, but I haven't actually used it. So
yeah, it can be a bit of a pain, but I can sort of handle that from a remote location.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, because we can use our existing one, and you
Yeah.
can just send me the links, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the idea. Boy. Good week this week. I'm glad things went better than last week.
What was wrong with last week? I don't remember there being an issue.
I
Besides that you were late, but that seems to be a routine thing for you now.
had a bug. I had a bug that basically killed my entire week's forward momentum. So now I'm just busting my ass this week, getting everything caught back up and finding all new bugs. Emacs. That's where I started.
Really?
That's the first IDE I ever used.
You talk about not understanding how to quit Vim. I to this day don't know how to quit Emacs.
To correct that, I ran Emacs, which was
so you just hit the little
which was a fork, a visual fork of Emacs that had a lot of different changes. If you don't know the history of Emacs, it was originally created by the GNU Foundation guy. And someone said, "Hey, I like this, but I'm going to make some changes to it." And the creator did not like the changes, did not like the requests that were made to the changes. So Emacs actually forked into Emacs and was the reason for the GNU license being worded the way it is. Yeah, Richard Stallman.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole GNU license was about this fallout between the creator of Emacs and Emacs.
Interesting. Yeah, he's a extremeness.
He is, but God, I love him.
We wouldn't be where we are today with open source, that's for sure. Without
no
him.
way.
Yep. I'm with you on that.
I'm very, very happy with this little keyboard here. This is a 60% or 65.
I don't understand these 60% keyboards, these smaller keyboards. I don't get them. I really don't.
I mean, the amount of desk space on its own that it clears up is really nice. And then I did some more reading about the macro system and the layer system, and it's just really slick. Like, Once again, obviously, it's not Vim. I guess I should start Vimming everything since I'm going to be a macro guy.
That's right. Yeah, I think that was one of the things I got into with the Moonlander were the layers that, like John said, I could do on my current keyboard, but I don't. And I keep thinking maybe I should. But I can't think of good use cases for it. Like on the Moonlander, again, I don't have the media keys. I don't have the function keys. So that's what some of those layers are, right? On the Advantage 2, I have all that. So I don't know.
So there's a protocol or a standard for USB keyboards that has a list of all of these keys that OSs just sort of natively understand. So I can actually program this computer to do a bunch of sort of bizarre or unique things, and then take it to another computer, and it'll just do those things correctly.
That's how Moonlander and the Kinesis are too. Like what the however you configure it stays on the keyboard, and so no matter where you take it, like all those bindings are the same wherever you go. I do love that aspect of it.
Now you have to also understand people take it too far. So like I think this is like a 30% keyboard I'm posting here on Discord.
What's that Restream IO message? I've received 100 messages today.
It's just Restream's thing.
Where do you see that, John?
In the feed.
On the screen he's sharing.
Oh, I'm not looking at it. Oh.
So
on the...
if you take a look at this keyboard,
that's just letting you know that you've had a lot of chatter with your Restream. That's all. There was a lot of talk during the show.
But I don't normally see that, and I didn't feel like it was any more
we get it
normal.
all the time.
Yeah, I just never see it.
So you'll notice with this keyboard that I just posted that there's some sort of weirdness to it that you don't notice at first.
Missing a few letters there for sure.
Yeah. Like you would think QWERTY, but it starts with W.
Ends with O, so there's no P.
So this is one of the interesting things that the keyboard community is really into that I think is
so escape is also
crazy.
Q. Escape is Q. The
escape is Q.
And the tab is also A.
Right. By default, escape is Q, but the button is escape. Like it shows escape on the keycap, but you have to actually hit escape. You have to hit a macro and then the escape button.
So with the Moonlander, I don't know if the Kinesis does it, but with the Moonlander, it has 3 functions per key. So you can do a tap, you can do a double tap, or you can do a long tap, and you can map all 3 of those taps to different things. So that a tap is like your normal thing, a double tap will uppercase it maybe, and a long tap will be a symbol. It's so weird.
Yeah, and this keyboard base unit that I bought, the sort of bare bones kit, has the PCB that's designed to be used with this nice GUI application for configuring it. But they sell some that are made out of those AT Tiny boards that just look like a stick of bubble gum. And those things you have to like actually program what the keyboard does in like Python or something. So you can do some weird creative stuff. There's one guy who made a pair of pants that's a keyboard. So he like puts his hands where his pockets would normally be and can just type on his lap.
Wow. Yeah, I don't want to see what his escape key looks like.
And then there's all the different buttons. So I got Cherry MX Clears, but this is a tester of all the different keys you can get.
Yeah, you showed us last week. You just don't remember.
From Cherry.
So many times.
Well, but now
you pretty much clicked them all too. Listen. Here we go again.
So But like you can get ones that have like 100 different keys on them, and they're all different types of switches.
Yeah. Like, you don't remember last
Yes.
week.
No, I
Groundhog
do.
Day
I do.
here.
I do. I'm just saying. So really, really enjoyed building this computer. I think, or this keyboard. It looks really nice.
Have you watched Werewolf by Night yet, Tom?
I haven't. I'm very excited.
I'm about halfway through. I like it because I like the character that's in it, but I don't know if I like it. I can't seem to get through the whole show.
But it's long, isn't it? It's black and white, and it's like 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah, I think it's 2 hours. Oh, that's what I want to do. I want to see how long that last show was. Oh, hold on. What was it? Oh yeah, you're right. It's only like just shy of 35 minutes. Yeah. 35 with the credits. Oh wow, that was short. I didn't realize it was a good one. Huh, okay.
Yeah, the thing with the keyboard stuff though, it's I could spend so much money.
All right, I need to open up my door and get some air in here before I pass out.
I can't believe you guys. What are you guys using for creating the magazine that doesn't have spell check?
Photoshop.
Dude, trust me. you don't want to have this conversation.
We spelled every article itself goes through spell check, and then for the cover, it's just we work on the background, and then I type the article names on top of that, and I fucked up.
Did you just set up that tail scale?
Yeah.
Pretty simple, right?
Way simpler than I thought it was going to be.
And it's like a complete network, so everything's exposed, like from one computer to the other. You don't have to do port forwarding when you SSH or anything. It's just if port 80s.
I did it on my iPad, so now I got to figure out. Like you said, you use the iPad for some things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have a SSH client on my iPad, so I can SSH the machine. But like my browser stuff, and my Postman, I just talk directly to my machine on the ports that are exposed. So I can't do a Etsy host and have my pretty URLs that I have on my laptop, and because on my laptop I can edit my Etsy host, but I can't do that on the iPad. At least I don't know how to do that on the iPad. So I have to address the weird ports that Lando exposes because I can't use that proxy. But yeah, let me know if you need any help messing around with that. I'd love to show you.
Yeah, I'll poke around. I'll get it set up on my laptop. Again, I reinstalled my laptop, so it is completely bare bones right now, which is a pain in the ass.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening and hanging out in the Discord.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. Appreciate it.
Sorry, it was such a long one.
I don't think they minded.
These are the fans that like it. The true fans. All right, thanks.
Fans. We don't call them fans.
We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.